Hey, this is Serge. Do you think you have what it takes to become wealthy? First, we need to ask, what is the definition of wealth? According to the dictionary, it is to have an abundance of valuable possession or money. How do you determine that? It is by taking the total market value of all physical and intangible assets you own, then subtracting all your debt. I do not agree with that definition. First reason, it is absolutely impossible to know what is the real value of an asset unless you sell it. Many people will tell you that based on their own experience, based on market study around you, your house should be worth this, or your car should be worth that, or something precious that you have should be worth that. But unless you physically sell it, you do not know what it is worth it. Here is my own definition of wealth. It is to have enough to never have to worry again about money and to have the possibility to choose what you want to do. Okay, what does this mean in reality? This does not mean to have millions of dollars in your bank account or in asset. Neither to live in a castle or in the biggest house in your neighborhood, nor to drive a Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce or even a BMW or any other luxury car. You do not need to be a famous actor, and you do not need to inherit fortune from past generation. To be wealthy, you do not need to be talented or to be smart or even to have an MBA or a PhD, university degree. It is not enough to have a big and stressful job. Look at some example around you. Many of those highly educated people are deeply in debt. Most people own liabilities thinking that they are asset. And if somehow they stop receiving their paycheck today, they will lose everything that they possess in a short period of time. So, what does it mean to become wealthy to the point that you never have to worry again? Watch this video until the end to get the answer. Do you know someone around you that seems to be wealthy? Please, do not make the mistake to judge someone's wealth by their possession. Many people drive luxury car or live in a big house or even have cottages. Unfortunately, many of those are deeply in debt, bringing them to the verge of bankruptcy. Actually, many of those people, if they stop receiving their paycheck today, they will lose everything they own. You can see many of those examples in these days. Let's look at some statistic from 2019. There is no point to look at the statistic in 2020 until now because of the current situation in the world. 57,768 bankruptcy cases in Canada in 2019. 48% of Canadians are $200 from insolvency. 752,160 bankruptcy cases in the United States in 2019. 39% of Americans are one paycheck away from living in the street. This may surprise you, but yes, this includes famous people with big job, big car, big houses. Look honestly at your personal situation. Are you scared today? Do you think that people are in a good position to retire comfortably? Let's look at Canada and US statistic a little bit deeper. 50% of Canadians and Americans do not have a company pension plan today. They must rely on their saving when it's possible. The average balance in retirement account in 2020 in Canada is only $111,000 according to BMO. In the United States, it's only $112,000 according to Fidelity Investment. Let's be clear, this is not enough to retire comfortably at the age of 65 with this kind of money. This means that people are far to be wealthy and they will worry about money for the rest of their life. Is this what you want? If you like this video, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. According to Robert Kiyosaki, the only way to overcome the rat race, meaning to become wealthy, is to be financially educated. And of course, to take action. Remember in my previous video here in the card, liabilities or fake asset. Most people do not understand that even primary residences, a car, and other similar possession are not asset but liability. I understand that this is hard to accept, especially if you have a house that is worth it over $1 million as a market value. It's hard, but this is the truth. And if we do not understand that, we will likely always be on the verge of bankruptcy, always be scared at the end of the month. Please do not take me wrong. I am not saying that you should never own a house. What I am saying is that your personal house is not an investment. Today we will compare our primary house from the previous video to a rental property. One is an investment, the other one is not. For both home, the primary and the rental property, we will use the same assumption. We will buy an average bungalow house in Charlotte, North Carolina, United States for $228,800 on a 30-year mortgage at 5%. Over the 30 years, it will cost us $439,592 capital and interest. We will have a monthly mortgage payment of $1,221.08. We will also assume that the dollar buying power will remain constant over the 30 years. The real estate agent commission to sell this property in 30 years would be $21,979. And to get your total investment back, you will need to sell the house at a minimum of $461,571. You will also have to pay around 20% tax in capital gain. Every year, the property taxes will be calculated on the buying price and not on the market value estimated. Some of those assumptions are set simply to keep this calculation simple. Based on our previous video, your primary residence, meaning the house where you're living today, we determine that you will save $51,339 over 30 years if nothing wrong happened. To understand how we got to this number, please review the previous video, Rat Race Part 3, Fake Asset or a Problem in 2020. Let's compare this to a rental property with a tenant. We need to add some assumption here. Same assumption as the previously, but we're adding the following one. You always have a tenant in this apartment, no months are vacant. The rent will remain constant over 30 years. The rental property will not have any depreciation over 30 years. This bungalow is a two-bedroom apartment. It is also in Charlotte. You have one apartment on the upper floor and one in the basement. Your rent must cover the property taxes, the repairs, and you will receive, as part of the assumption, $218 in cash flow every month. So the total rent should be $1,813.73 for the two apartments combined. To understand how we got to those numbers, look at the description below. Now let's assume 30 years later we are selling that rental property. So you decide to sell the property after 30 years at $694,342. Meaning at the same price of the primary residence that we used in the previous video. You sold the property on the same day you paid your property taxes. The profit from the sale is $232,771. You also need to pay capital gain on your profit, and this will be $46,554. And this is the beauty of a rental property. The property taxes cost you a big $0 out of your pocket. Why? Because the taxes were included in the rent. The repair, the renovation cost you again $0 out of your pocket because they were also included in the rent. So the total cost to own this property over 30 years is only $46,554 instead of the $181,431 as per the previous example. You earned a monthly cash flow during those 30 years of $78,480. And here is the beauty of all of this. The mortgage was paid 100% by the tenant as the house was generating a free cash flow. So the property after 30 years is 100% an asset. So the total profit after 30 years is $704,289. Having a rental property also have other advantages. You can also roll over your profit in a 1031 tax protection instead of paying the tax immediately on it, as long as you're buying a bigger house within the next few months. It is also advantageous to consider to own the property through a corporation when it is possible to protect yourself against possible lawsuit. Other expenses you have to consider when you are going to sell this house. In our case, the mortgage is fully paid. But if you still have a mortgage on this house, you may have to pay the remaining. Also, as an extra cost, if your property taxes were not paid on the day you sell, you will have also to pay those taxes. You will have also transfer taxes and closing fees to pay on this. And of course, many others. A primary house will generate $51,339 over 30 years, as we already saw, while a rental property will generate $704,289. Do you see now why a primary house is not an asset? There is one more element that we should explore here. Through the previous video and this one here, we already went through a lot of numbers and discovered a very interesting thing. Your primary house will generate a ROI of $51,339. Also, if you invest the difference between the mortgage payment and the rent payment in the S&P 500, you will accumulate a ROI of $408,104. And as per this video, if you own a rental property, the ROI over 30 years will be $704,289. Now, here another scenario that we should consider. What happens if you rent the basement of your primary residence and invest that rent in the S&P 500? By doing this, your primary residence is still not an asset, but it does look much better. What are the benefits to do that? You're still living in your own house. You have a backyard for your kids and a little bit more space than a simply two-bedroom apartment. All your expenses are partially paid by your tenant, and this is why your primary residence look much nicer, more like an asset. If you are careful, your mortgage will be paid much faster. Of course, having a tenant is not the perfect world, but if you think about financial independence, financial freedom, this will bring you to this freedom much faster. You may not want to have to manage an entire rental property, but managing only one tenant in your basement may be much easier. This will allow you to invest in same time. This will help you if you need to go on vacation and everything. But keep in mind, the main goal of all of this is to become financially free, to never have to worry about money again. So with a tenant in the basement, your mortgage is really just half or 1/4 what you should pay. Think about this. We will understand more about liability and asset in our next video, Rat Race Part 4, Fake Asset are Revealed. Again, if you like this video, please hit the like button, write a comment, and subscribe to my channel. With all of this, thank you and see you next time.